And we are live. Welcome to the process. It is Wednesday, December 6th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down an 11-game NBA slate. We haven't had this in a bit. We had a very normal week last week. It's been a long time since we had to go deep. We're going deep today with 11 games. Let's have some fun, shall we? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Lost my prize picks card again in the final minute of one of the games. Went 1-1. So I'm 0-2 this week. I got to go 2-1 the rest of the week to avoid my first losing week of the season. Should be fun. I did have a decent night last night. I picked up third in the money ball. That was, I have no idea what the entry fee was. Let's call it 300 or something. I don't know. One of the higher stakes things. So I popped 10K yesterday, which helped me out quite a bit. Shout out to LeBron. Happy that I was able to get the third without having Julius Randle. So this was about as good of a lineup as I was going to get otherwise. But I'll take it. Very, very successful day for me yesterday. That's all I can ask for. But I don't want to dilly-dally too much here, guys. We got a lot to talk about, lots to break down. We've got prize picks videos and contenders and strategy shows and deeper dives and stuff to do later today. So I'm going to get into this one if you're ready to get started. So, got my coffee. Excited for it. It was gas station coffee yesterday. I'm taking the wife to the airport. So very happy to have my coffee as I would like it. So I've got mine. I hope you do as well. Tea, water, beer, whatever food products you've got for breakfast. You're eating cereal, Frosted Flakes, or nothing else as far as I'm concerned. Crunchwrap Supreme if you need it. Or smoke a joint. Either way. Cheers, everybody. Rise and grind. Bang. Yeah, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. So, that's how I did yesterday. We got that up on the screen for you guys. So I ended up finishing third. Would have loved that extra point and a quarter. Get up there to catch or pass Eshy. So shout out to Eshy. Yeah, LeBron carried the weight there. Jalen Brunson, I thought was going to be a little bit better early. 146 points out of Milwaukee was pretty wild. I had infinite amounts of Bobby Portis yesterday. Enough Hartenstein to get me where I needed to be. Brook Lopez was pretty highly exposed for me. I had a ton of Marshawn Beauchamp. That didn't really work out. Cam Payne was the value guy that you were really looking for. But I will take what I can get because I picked up 10K. So, good start to the day. Always happy to see it like this. Brandon, was I in first? I didn't look at. I was long asleep. I mean, I'm not going to feel too bad. I mean, I got beat by 8.5. Is Grayson Allen in lineup 2? Yeah, I was... I guess I probably had a decent shot at second. I don't really know who I was chasing down. Wait, was I blocked out? If LeBron was in those two lineups, then I was dead anyway. Okay, LeBron was in the top one. I never had a shot. LeBron was my only play in that late game. So, best I could have ever done heading into that one was third anyway. So I don't feel too bad. I think. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I would have needed infinitely less points out of Grayson Allen. Well, 1.25 just to get another 10K at least. I was never running down that guy in first. A pedestrian Grayson Allen game is going to be first either way. Hey, Josh, do you ever run a crunch and then manually adjust someone, or do you just let it rip and upload? I don't ever adjust anything. I had like 87% Bobby Portis yesterday. I think my second most exposed guy was Beauchamp. Actually, I could give you the actual answer here. I had yesterday, my top three guys were 85% Portis, 74% Beauchamp, 69% Middleton, and then 61% LeBron, plus another 55 of Quentin Grimes. I didn't change anything. Alrighty, here we go. Let me get my minutes table up. That's the only thing I need at this point. Toasted Biscuits, what's up? Alrighty, here we go. Orlando Magic. 4.5-point dogs in Cleveland. 222 total. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Bang. All good. So what do we need to know here about the Orlando Magic for today? That is the question. Good news is, for today, we don't have to worry about the injury report. No one is on a back-to-back, and no one plays on the front end of a back-to-back. That is incredibly helpful. So no Wendell Carter Jr., no Markelle Fultz. John Isaac is questionable. We will assume that he is in, and we will likely assume that this is just the standard rotation for the Orlando Magic. Assuming John Isaac can play, he's only played one game in the past 4, but assuming John Isaac can play, I think 14 minutes feels about right. Only question is, do I need to move around these Joe Ingles minutes? And I don't think that I do. So I'm actually pretty happy with the rotation that we have in for Orlando right now. Doesn't really move around all that much for these guys. It's early in the morning, so I don't need to create problems that I don't have just yet. So we're going to leave Orlando. Pretty standard rotation. Okay, so Cleveland might be a little different. Karis LeVert is out. Dean Wade is questionable. Still don't have Ty Jerome, man. He's been out for a very long time at this point. But we're going to have to get Karis LeVert out. So let's go ahead and re-project the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, as we do that, I think we're going to go ahead and lock down 35 minutes to Darius Garland. 30. Oh, man. I kind of want to go 34, 35. If I ignore the game that he left early, yeah, I'm going to go 35 for Garland. Mitchell, since he's been back, has averaged 34. I'm going to go 35 for Mitchell as well. And then we're going to get Jared Allen in at center for 30. We get Evan Mobley in at the 4 for 34. No LeVert. Okay, so LeVert and Wade didn't play on the second. Wade has been out for 6 straight games. My assumption is that he plays. The question then becomes how much. I'm going to assume... Oh, man, who do they start? I'm going to assume they start Okoro. And he plays 24 minutes. Tristan Thompson has been basically removed from the rotation. 1, 2, 3, 7. Okay, so they went to 7 guys. That game on the second was was a playoff or was a tournament game, wasn't it? No. What's the second? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So it's Saturday. They went to a 7-man rotation. Am I looking at this wrong? I guess technically they played Tristan Thompson and Sam Merrill at a random time. Same for Craig Porter. They basically went 7. They went 7.5. Are they going to do that again? Well, not if Wade's projected in, then they're not going to do that. So let's get Max Strus his 35 minutes. Actually, with no LeVert, I'll go 36 on Strus. And then You know, Niang is pretty safe to get 21. Yeah, that feels about right. Actually, let's get that to what, 18 and 14? No, 18 and 16. At the very least, 11 minutes to Dean Wade at that spot. Now we're basically out of bodies. And I have 14 minutes left. Now, Porter, Merrill, and Thompson played 4, 6, 8, like 9. So I feel pretty good here. I'd like to give Dean Wade, I don't know, 14 minutes. And then I'm going to give the rest of those minutes. Since Craig Porter played in the first half, I will give Craig Porter those 11 minutes. That will not matter. We need to be very clear here. This is not like the past 2 days. The only people that are going to really matter here are starters and mispriced bench guys. So game one took longer than I would have liked it to. As we look at Orlando to start, we have basically nothing to like. I mean, they look like actively bad. Do I have something typed in incorrectly here? What is Paolo Banchero's points prop? Is it, if it's 20, then I feel okay, at which point this looks terrible. But that feels oddly low. 19 and a half, juice to the under. Same for Franz Wagner. Okay, yeah. Orlando looks dreadful. I mean, this is a defensive matchup. Cleveland is 17th in pace. I don't expect to have a single share of the Orlando Magic today. For Cleveland, I tend to get a little bit more Darius Garland than most people. I will happily do that today. He is my preferred Cleveland option. Donovan Mitchell, not far behind at 90. I mean, they're basically the same. And you get the shooting guard eligibility for Mitchell. I don't mind Mobley for 7,900 at all. I think Jared Allen is fine at 6,700. Max Strus would look like a decent play if he were on Orlando. But for this one, we're basically just sticking to Cleveland. There's no real path to me to get to Orlando. Memphis is going to be a little bit different. We get to the Grizzlies next. 1.5 point favorites in Detroit. 220 total. What do we get for Memphis here in a spot that should be pretty good? No Adams, no Clark, no Kennard, Laravia, Morant, or Smart. So pretty standard stuff here for Memphis, although they have been all over the place as of late. We did get Tillman back. He has played the most recent 2 games. Played 21 and a half minutes in his first game. Played 12 and a half in the second game back. Why did he play so little? Lost by 7 to Phoenix. Came in, played a normal backup run in the first half. Didn't play the backup run in the fourth quarter. They went to just Jaren Jackson at the 5 for the large majority of it, which is very interesting to see. That feels like the most likely scenario now, at which point I need to bring Bismack Biyombo down to 24 minutes. Now, he had 4 fouls. Picked up 1 in the first, 1 in the second quarter. He picked up 2 in the third quarter and probably lost a little bit of time. But at that point, he had 4 fouls, didn't come back into the fourth quarter. They just went to Jaren Jackson. So I feel pretty good with 18 minutes for Tillman and 24 for Biyombo. That'll allow me to be at 32 for Jaren Jackson. 35 for Desmond Bane feels fine. Santi Aldama still coming off the bench, but closing. So basically, Aldama closes over Biyombo. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So we got 30 minutes out of Aldama. That sounds a little aggressive. He did pick up a little bit of extra time in the third quarter because of Biyombo's foul trouble. So I think going to like 26 or 27 to maybe 27 to Aldama makes some sense. 26 for Big Body Roddy. I'm okay with. 26 for Derrick Rose. Didn't play on the second. They started Jalen Noel. Going to assume that we get Rose coming back here off the back-to-back. And then Jalen Noel plays. Well, I guess Jalen Noel is going to play a little bit more. Vince Williams has been playing. John Conchar has been playing. Who's not playing? Oh, Conchar plays because Rose doesn't in that spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they really do have like a 9.5-man rotation going here. Zaire Williams is just like persona non grata for this team. I'm going to bump Jalen Noel up to 22 and cut Zaire Williams at least down to 15, but should he be somebody different? That's a real question. I guess he should probably be at least a little bit more Vince Williams, who played 26 and 29 in the past couple games. Very legitimate bench run. I'm going to take Vince Williams up to 21, and that'll let me just nerf Zaire Williams, and now we can move forward. That's going to be Memphis. We can talk Pistons now. I feel like I haven't talked about these teams in forever. I don't like it. I feel like it's coming back, like we're coming back after the All-Star break. So for Detroit, Bagley probable, Joe Harris doubtful, no Monty Morris, Stanley Moody is questionable, could be with the G League team. So I'm going to gut this entire rotation just because I don't have a great feel for what they've got going on. Now, on the 2nd, they played Cleveland. Bojan Bogdanovic was back. He did not start. He came off the bench. Played 27.5 minutes. He's got to start, right? The question then becomes, who does he start over? It seems like the answer to that question would be Killian Hayes. But Hayes played 33 minutes for reasons that I will never understand. We have to assume Bojan's starting, right? Right? Like, they can't want their best player to come off the bench. So if he was able to come back and play 27.5 minutes, I'm going 30 to Bojan. We're going 35 to Cade. We're going 28 to Jaden Ivey. And then we'll get Beef Stew. Played 30, didn't close. They closed with Bojan over Beef Stew, which I think is pretty reasonable. Although I wouldn't expect them to close with Cade, Ivy, and Hayes either. So, you know, your mileage may vary there. Beef Stew, I'm going to go 29. And then Jalen Duren, I'm going to go 29. We got mostly... Who was the backup center here? So Bagley got none of it. And then Duren wasn't on, and they went to Beef Stew. And Bagley got a little bit of it in the third quarter. And then they went back to Beef Stew. So I think we go... maybe something like 10 to Bagley. And then we kick some of Stewart's minutes over. Sasser was the first guy off the bench, played 16 like a standard backup point guard. I think keeping that makes a lot of sense. Figuring out what we do with Killian Hayes here seems dreadful. And for some reason, Alec Burks was out of the rotation. Alec Burks is like their second best player. They should be starting Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks alongside Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and whoever else you want. And they're just not doing that. So instead, they lose every game they play. Smart. All right, what else do we have to project here? I guess we need Isaiah Livers. And Livers is going to play. He played pretty much straight backup run. I'll go 16. We're going to have to get Asar Thompson out there, whose minutes have now just completely cratered. Maybe we get him for 16. That's 9. So I'm going to have to hand out a bunch more minutes because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they only had 10 guys play. Alec Burks wasn't one of them. I'm going to have a lot more minutes to hand out here, which is going to have to go to Killian Hayes. And I guess we're just assuming that he's playing a bunch, but I don't know why we would do that. Like if I go 24 to Hayes, I still have 7 minutes left over. I'll go 2 more to Bagley. But I don't really see a natural place to put these minutes. They're not playing anybody else. I'm going to go to 26 to Hayes. Maybe they just start him again, but that would just remove minutes from Boyan, which would make no sense. I guess finally I could just hide 3 minutes on Alec Burks for our sanity. So we're 2 games in. We're already at the top of the hour. You tell this is a long one. For the Grizzlies, Rose, Bane, and Jackson are probably the only 3 guys viable today. I think Jackson would be my first guy up. Bane would be 2. Probably Bane, then Jackson. Guessing that I have Desmond Bane over projected, but I tend to do that. Nope, I don't. I sure don't. So yeah, Jackson and Bane, priorities. Not priorities. Jackson and Bane, the priorities for Memphis. Not standout plays. Rose is viable. Okay. This really couldn't be more wrong, but Bojan Bogdanovic is a $5,100 shooting guard only. Now, let's be clear here. Bojan Bogdanovic does not play shooting guard, can't play shooting guard, isn't the shooting guard. He should at least be shooting guard small forward, but if we're honest, he should be small forward, power forward. But $5,100 shooting guard Bojan Bogdanovic is a high-end cash play today, assuming he starts. And if he doesn't start, then he's just a really good value play. But if he starts, you got to project 30 minutes. At a minimum. And if that's the case, he looks great. Even at 28, he looks really good. I got him at 0.94 fantasy points per minute. So even at 28, that's 26.32. At 5.1x, he'd be a 5.15 guy today. That's really good value. The only other piece that I would really want to get to here would be $6,600 Jalen Duren. All right, Philadelphia 76ers are 10.5-point favorites in Washington, 239 total. This is the second biggest total on the slate behind the Nets and Hawks, which will be up next. For Philly, I assume we're at full strength here. We have DeAnthony Melton probable. Everybody else that's normally in is in. So let's re-project this team because the last time we had them, there was no Joel Embiid. So this deserves a full re-projection. Embiid has missed 3 out of the last 5, but obviously we're going right in for 34 minutes on Embiid, slapping 14 minutes on Paul Reed. We're going to 38 minutes for Tyrese Maxey. I guess we get Kelly Oubre back. Forgot about that. Guessing Oubre comes off the bench. Feels like they get his legs back under him first. That just kind of makes the most sense to me. Who started for this last game? So that game was on the 1st. Oh, that was the Boston game. Okay. So they started Beverly. Oh my God, nobody played. Nobody played. I need the 29th game. Because I can't remember who was starting now. Yeah, I think we're going to get... I think that we'll get Oubre off the bench. So let's get the Anthony Melton in for 31. We'll get Tobias Harris in for 35. And we'll get Nick Batum in for 26. I think we can go pretty safely to 24 on Kelly Oubre, who's just going to hop right back in. Pat Bev, we'll call it like 18, 16, 18. We're going to get Robert Covington out there for a pretty standard like 16. And then who's left? That's 9 guys, and I have 6 minutes left. So nobody's left. We'll give them to Marcus Morris. That's going to be our Philadelphia 76ers. Anxious to see Joel Embiid's price because obviously facing Washington is usually pretty good for you. Embiid is projected for 31.5 fantasy points, or 31.5 real points. So I don't even have to move that rate. Maxi's at 25.5. That feels good. Harris is around 16. He's probably a bit too high. What is Tobias Harris's usage rate on the season? It is 20.25. I'm happy with everything I have here. The only thing that I know I need to change will be assist rates because Embiid and Maxey are just different now from an assist perspective. So we'll take Maxey up to 8, and then we'll take Embiid up to 9. Now I should see pretty reasonable assist props for these guys. Embiid 6.5 to the under. I have 6.2. Perfect. Maxey 6.5 on the dot. I got 6.1. Perfect. So that's going to be Philly. Do I have DeAnthony Melton over projected? Actually, I should check that. Doesn't even have a points prop. Doesn't matter. Let's go to Washington. By the way, 130 people here. Hit that like button. Now, as we look at the Wizards, they suck. Johnny Davis, questionable. Jordan Poole, questionable. Landry Shamet, questionable. So all of those things are just going to be us leaving these guys in. So this should be a relatively standard issue Washington Wizards rotation. I'm going to go 38 minutes to Kyle Kuzma. Sorry, 33 minutes to Kyle Kuzma. Don't know why I said 38. I got Jordan Poole in for 31. I've got Koulibaly in for 26. Daniel Gafford in for 26. Denny Avdia in for 28. Tyus Jones in for 28. That could be 27. 22 to Kispert. Looks right. 17 to Gallo. Looks right. You know what? We can make that 18 to Gallo. And then we just hide the rest of it on Johnny Davis. Don't think we're going to care too much about this this Washington side unless we lose some people. So as we look at Philly, yeah, 11-6 Embiid, I'm expecting to be a very legitimate option. I'm thinking he's a preferred pay-up option. So I'm just guessing we have enough value. Maxey's fine. Harris is fine. Batum is fine. But Joel Embiid is the key takeaway here. Great spot against the Wiz. On the Wizards side, look, I like $8,500 Kyle Kuzma. I don't have much of a problem there. Philly is 8th in defense, 15th in pace, so not that bad of a spot. I don't mind $5,500 Gafford either, but that's more of a roll of the dice, hoping you get the real minutes. You know, Poole's okay, Gallo's okay, Koulibaly's okay. Those guys are all like reasonable last dudes in for value. But I like Kyle Kuzma there for $8,500. 1.28 fantasy points per minute for Kuzma over the past 30 days. That's basically where I got him for this game. So I feel pretty good going to Kuzma. Oh, coffee's hitting the spot. All right, Brooklyn Nets. 242 total in this one. 4-point dogs in Atlanta. What do we know for Brooklyn? I'm guessing. I think I saw something for Dorian Finney-Smith yesterday pop up on my watch. Nope, sure didn't. Not even on the injury report. No Ben Simmons. No Lonnie Walker. That's not too bad to deal with. Dorian Finney-Smith did not play their most recent game, but is available for this one. 33 minutes for Spencer Dinwiddie. I guess I'm making that 34. Cam Thomas played 37.5 on the second. So, spoiler alert, we are very aware that Cam Thomas is back. Didn't take him long to get his sea legs. He did start, played the entire fourth quarter, played the entire second quarter. I think that we're going to very real minutes to Cam Thomas. So let's bump that bad boy all the way up to 34. I have a sneaky suspicion he's going to look great. I have no idea what his salary is going to be. Bridges I could leave in for 36. Cam Johnson I could leave in for 30. Dorian Finney-Smith in for 30. 14 for Day'Ron Sharp. Maybe. 29 for Clax. Yeah, that's fine. Watford didn't play nearly as much. Who got these minutes? Ooh, DSJ. I got to get DSJ in here. He played 20 minutes. Pretty standard bench run, and then got a little bit of blowout run. 3 minutes. So let's call it 18 for DSJ. I only have 14 minutes left. That's fine. We can take those minutes from Trendon Watford. So let's do that and that. Oh, I have 4 random minutes going to Armani Brooks. I don't need to do that either. Let's get Day'Ron Sharp to 16. That'll take Watford to 13. Either way, we're good. We're on 240. So that's where we want to be. I've got the rates in that I want. So let's see what Atlanta looks like. We got to remember, there's a decent chance that Atlanta or that Brooklyn looks incredible here against Atlanta. That is my expectation. Now, for Atlanta, still just Jalen Johnson that's out. So no real rotational changes here for the Hawks, which makes this kind of easy. They stopped going to AJ Griffin. Garrison Matthews is the guy picking up that extra run. So we'll land those minutes in a second. We are going to bump Wes Matthews up to 13. We've got 36 in for Trey. We've got 35 in for DeJounte Murray. 29 for Bogdan Bogdanovic. He has played 29.8 in the 4 games since Jalen Johnson has been out. I've got 25-23 for Capella Okongwu. It's been 24-24 recently. Capella played, yeah, I'm going to go 24-24. Did they go to OT? Wow, they played 9 minutes alongside of each other on the second. Okay, that's against Milwaukee. I said that was possible. I'm going to go 24-24 Capella Okongwu. 31 to Bay. That feels right. 32 to DeAndre Hunter. Honestly, feels a little heavy. I have 16 minutes left over. In theory, that would go to Garrison Matthews. That's not happening. I think I'm going to go to 32 on Bay. I will take Wes Matthews up to 14, so it doesn't matter, and then I can give 14 to Matthews. This is going to be interesting. Here we go. All right, Brooklyn. $7,100 point guard, shooting guard Cam Thomas. They priced him up. He's the best play on Brooklyn as long as he's starting. If he's not starting, then you can only really give him 28 minutes or 30 minutes. But assuming he's starting, I think you're getting 34 plus. I think he's going to start. It seems like he'll start. That's my guess. I thought this was going to look better, but Brooklyn's sort of already priced up. Nick Claxton for 6,800. Just add him to the center list. Cam Thomas looks better on FanDuel for sure. But no, if I'm going to anybody from Brooklyn right now, with the assumption that Cam Thomas starts, it's Cam Thomas. For Atlanta, now they look great as well. 19th in defensive rating for Brooklyn, but they are just a little bit slow. 5K Okongwu, $5,600 Bay. I mean, I don't even really mind 10-3 for Trae Young. I don't even really mind 5,900 for Clint Capella. Getting the center right here will be hard. Atlanta looks solid. Even Murray for 8,100 is reasonable. Same for Hunter and Bogdanovich. But I think the first guy that I'd end up getting to for Atlanta is probably Sadiq Bey. Interesting. Okay. Oh, boy. San Antonio Spurs, 12-point underdogs in Minnesota. That's 227 total. Bad spot for the Spurs. Great spot for Minnesota. Not to mention, it's a Q tag on Edwards. I actually thought he was just out. So probable tag on Zach Collins. Probable tag on Devin Vassell. So we're getting full strength San Antonio. And then for Minnesota, Edwards questionable, McDaniels still out. So this should be pretty easy to do here for San Antonio. We're going to go ahead and pop Zach Collins in for 29 minutes, 28 minutes. 28 feels about right. We're going to get Victor Wembanyama in for 31. We'll get Keldon Johnson in for 33. We'll get Jeremy Sohan in for 31. And then I'm guessing we still get Malachi Branham as the starter? Are they going to keep bringing Devin Vassell off the bench? Is that what's happening? They lost by 15 to New Orleans without Wemby. Branham started, as did Champagnie. I'm going to assume it's Branham. That's just what they do. I will also get Trey Jones in for his 22 minutes. I'll get Malachi Branham in for his 21 minutes. God, this team is stupid. Charles Bassey, I think we could kind of leave in for his standard issue 6. Now, who else do we need here? All right, Devin Vassell, I think 26 minutes is probably what we're looking for here. Maybe 27. Dougie McBuckets has been out of the rotation for the past 2 games, or was that injury? ESPN box score 12-1, 23 Spurs. Was McBuckets out on purpose? All right, so he was just out. So then we're going to say that McBuckets plays 16. Chetty plays 16. And we give 9 to Champagnie. The Spurs are dumb, man. Spurs are extra special dumb. Einsteinium, I assume they don't play him because he's not very good. But I mean, 22 minutes a night is about what Trey Jones should be playing. He can't shoot, which doesn't help. Oh, JJ, San Antonio for sure. Detroit can get it, and they're still awful. If San Antonio gets another top pick to pair with Wemby, it's a real problem. All right, Minnesota side, which should be pretty interesting. The only downside is here we have to project Anthony Edwards in, and that sort of like takes away all the fun. So I have to project these guys like normal, but they could really become interesting if it breaks the right way. Should be pretty easy to quickly project their minutes. Let's get Mike Conley in for 30. Let's get Nickeil Alexander-Walker in for what? All right. So since Jaden McDaniels went down, Walker has averaged 29.5. Congratulations, you get 29. We get Ant coming back playing 35. We get Towns in playing 34. We get Rudy Gobert in playing 33. We get Naz Reid playing 21. We get Slow-Mo. Since McDaniels went out, Slow-Mo averaging 23 minutes. Interesting. We'll get him in for 22. Now we have backups left. Shake Milton, Troy Brown. Is that just it? 18 boom, 18 boom. Call it a day. All right, rates for Minnesota we have to check out. I hope that Anthony Edwards has a points prop. That will give me a better reference point. He does. It's 26.5. Juice to the over. I got him at 28.7 usage. The actual answer is 32. We're not going to go that crazy. That gets him to 26.8. I'll take him to 30. 27.2. That'll work. Towns is at 23.5. Spot on. Gobert's at 14.5. Spot on. Conley's at 10.5. Little high. And I think Mike Conley's usage rate is stupid. Yep, 14. Bingo. Got that one right now. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker should be around 9. He's at 11, but he also has a stupid usage rate. 14 as well. These guys just stop participating. It does probably take Rudy Gobert up a little higher than I need him to be. So let's lock Rudy Gobert in. Naz Reid is at 22. I think I can handle him being where he's at right now. Towns is probably a little over projected, but usage rate is right. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to assume the rest of these rates hold, at which point we can scope this game out. Remember, this should look great for Minnesota. San Antonio is 27th in defensive rating and 4th in pace. Great spot for Minnesota. Reminder for San Antonio. Minnesota is middle of the pack in pace and 2nd defensively. Terrible spot for San Antonio. If I'm going to the Spurs, it's Wemby and Sohan. And even then, Sohan being point guard only sucks. So it's kind of just Wemby. Minnesota, though. Okay, that'll work. 9K Ant, shooting guard only. Annoying position, fantastically rosterable otherwise. Towns I like for 9,300 power forward center, but price is getting up there. $5,100 for Naz Reid. I do need to bring down his usage rate just a hair, as I expected. He's at 22.6. I'll take him to 22.2. Is he rebounding less by any chance because of how we have this set up? 7. He is. Let's just cut that a hair. So I don't mind Naz Reid, but he looks a little bit worse. 7,300 for Rudy Gobert looks pretty good here. That's a great spot for him. Those extra possessions will help him. It's more missed shots and rebounds and stuff from a crappy San Antonio team. Rudy Gobert, by the way, projected 11.5, or has a prop, 11.5 boards, minus 132 to the over. I got him at 12.2. Really like Gobert. I would rank this team Edwards, Gobert, Towns. Minnesota looks great. Don't be afraid to play them. And don't be afraid to hit that like button. Almost halfway there. Miami Heat, 3.5-point dogs in Toronto, 219 total. We're only at 45-minute mark, so we're moving pretty good. This one, I would be shocked if we like anything here without any injuries. So unless we get Bam out, and even then it probably doesn't matter. For Miami, where are they? Bam out, Hero out, Caleb Martin available, Haywood Highsmith out. All right, so Bam was out on the 2nd. Let's take a look at that popcorn machine and see what we got. That was a 15-point loss to Indy. They started Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Orlando Robinson, Jimmy Butler, and Haywood Highsmith. Now, clearly Haywood Highsmith isn't going to start. They're either going to start Caleb Martin or Jaime Jaquez. I assume it would be Caleb Martin, and they would defer to the elder statesman. So let's start getting the minutes in for the guys that we know matter. That's going to be 29 to Kyle Lowry. That's going to be 31 to Duncan Robinson. That's going to be 35 to Jimmy Butler. And then I'm going to assume it's Orlando Robinson starting at center. He played 29 minutes, didn't close. They closed with Love. Now, they were losing, so I guess get a little bit more offense. No chance I'm projecting Orlando Robinson for 29. That would be aggressive. I think 26 feels about right. Crazy that Bam could be out and they still don't play they still don't play Thomas Bryant. I'm going to go 26 to Orlando Robinson. I think it's scary to do anything else. Kevin Love was the direct backup in the first quarter, the direct backup in the second quarter, the direct backup in the third quarter. So Kevin Love and Orlando Robinson split 48 minutes. I just can't be that confident in Orlando Robinson playing 28 minutes. That seems aggressive. That said, Kevin Love doesn't normally play a shit ton either. I'm going to go 19 to Kevin Love, and then we can sneak 3 minutes of Caleb Martin at the 5 type stuff. They can go small. Martin played 35 minutes off the bench after Haywood Highsmith got hurt and then started the third quarter. So I think we're getting 32 minutes out of Martin. And then we're getting, 30 out of Jaime Jaquez? He plays it every night anyway. We need to make sure that we get Josh Richardson in. He's been playing somewhere in that 28, 29 minute range. I think we want to go 29. We'll go 28. They just don't have a lot of bodies. Jamal Cain played 5 minutes. I'm about to give him 10. So we could do something like that. Rates. I got to pull. I don't have any good rates for this team without Bam Adebayo. But I'm guessing we have props, so maybe I don't have to go too crazy for this. It's got to be a massive, massive usage rate bump for Jimmy. His prop is 25.5 points. So just out of curiosity, since last year, What does Jimmy Butler's usage rate look like with no Bam around? So if we just say did not play in the game, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and then we do say that Jimmy Butler played. Now, this isn't going to be a huge sample. I don't know how many games he's played without Bam, but it can't be a lot. Yeah, it's 4. In those 4 games, he's got a 27.3 usage rate. If we just say Bam and Hero off, Jimmy Butler played in the game, that will be a much bigger sample. What do we end up getting there? That's got to be a pretty sizable chunk of minutes. 859 minutes for Jimmy Butler with Bam and Tyler Hero off. 29.5% usage rate. That makes some sense. So if I go to 29, that takes me to 25.7. We'll take it to 28.5 because of aging. 25.3 nails the point prop. Duncan Robinson is just shy of 13. Or just around 13.5. That's perfect. Lowry's at like 10.5. Perfect. Those are the only guys that have points props for Miami right now. And I'm okay with that. I don't really have any other changes that I want to make. A rebounding rate? Does Butler get more boards? It's already there. I'll let Orlando Robinson and Kevin Love and stuff be themselves. 5 assists for Jimmy? Yeah, we're good. That's Miami. It's a shame that they're playing Toronto, because it's not going to look any better. Now, for the Raptors, these guys are pretty much the same thing usually. We've got full strength. They're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're running a standard 10-man rotation now. JJ, no. Thomas Bryant will get 0 of those minutes, as best I could tell. All right, Schroeder. I got him in for 31. He has played 32, 34, and 37 in his last 3. I'm going to bump him up to 32. We've got 25 for Gary Trent, 33 for OG Anunoby. That makes sense. 35 to Scotty Barnes, 35 to Pascal Siakam, 28 to Jake Puddle, 16 to Precious Achiuwa. Chris Boucher got 19 most recent timeout. We're not going to deal with that. Toronto's basically no changes. Works for me. So as we look at Miami now, final game of the 7:30 window. Really not going to anything from Miami, and I thought that this would open something up, but it didn't. Butler's already 9,500. I don't think that looks great. 5K Orlando Robinson is the dude that you need to go to if you want to get anything from Miami. Otherwise, I will be not getting the Heat. These are 2 top half offenses and bottom third pace teams. Not good. Toronto, I'm guessing, looks the same. No, Toronto, way more interesting. I continue to get a little bit of interest in my boy, OG Anunoby. That is happening. I also have to look at something quickly. Why is he in here twice? I need to figure out why that name is in there twice. That's not supposed to be like that. So I got a bit of a bug in the old system. Anyway, I do like Anunoby. I only have him at 0.88 fantasy points per minute, $5,700 shooting guard. So I don't mind that. I don't mind Pascal Siakam. I don't mind Scotty Barnes. OG does not have a points prop right now. Don't know why. Nope, that's an assist prop. Never mind. OG points prop 13.5 to the under. I have 15.5. Why is he getting projected like that? Why am I so north on him? Like, I have a 19% usage rate. That's not aggressive. That's really not aggressive. I'm going to be playing a shit ton of OG Anunoby again. Just out of... I just want to see his game logs over the past month or so. All right. 27 minutes, 34 minutes, 36, 34, 34. Like, the price tag is 5,700. So for him to hit 6x today, we're talking 35 fantasy points. I don't hate it. I think he's getting underrepresented still. I really do. OG is awful. That's a take. That's a take. It's a really bad take, but I expect nothing less. Just ultra bad take. I like Anunoby. I like Puddle. I like Siakam. I like Scotty Barnes. I don't mind those four main dudes for Toronto. The Charlotte Hornets are 4.5-point dogs in Chicago. 220 total. This one is going to be gross, and it's going to cause us to have a real conversation about the Chicago Bulls. But we also need to get the Charlotte Hornets projected correctly. Brandon Miller will be back for this one, it appears. No LaMelo, obviously. Mark Williams, questionable. Lower back contusion. Buckle up for that one. Because if Mark Williams ends up out, then we are jamming Nick Richards. Am I the Laker hater? That's me. The Laker hater. Looking clueless. For reasons, I guess. Lakers, by the way, negative 0.2 net rating on the season. But I'm the hater. 19th in offense, 10th in defense. Guess that's me. All right, Charlotte. So obviously no LaMelo. Pay very, very, very close attention to Mark Williams. If Mark Williams doesn't play, Nick Richards is, like, I assume close to a lock button play, because I'm guessing he's priced like a backup center. And he's over a fantasy point per minute, dude. So let's get it started here with Terry Rozier. And he's just going straight into 36 minutes. Nothing really gets easier than that. I need the box score for Charlotte on the second. Clearly they played on the second, and I didn't play that slate. That's why I didn't have Brandon Miller in. 3,700 for Nick Richards? Yeah. If Mark Williams is... Like, Nick Richards is going to be playable regardless. And if Mark Williams comes out, Nick Richards will be the highest owned guy on the slate. Alrighty. So let's get Brandon Miller. He stepped right into 36 minutes. I'm going to go 34. And then we'll get Gordon Hayward in for 31. And we'll get Miles Bridges in for 36. And we'll get Mark Williams in for 29. All right, now that they're willing to go to PJ Washington at the 5, that does change things a little bit, because they had Mark Williams and Nick Richards only play 38 minutes. So they played 10 minutes of PJ Washington at the 5 now, which I think makes sense. If you've got Hayward and Bridges, like, it's easier with LaMelo, but I think you can still get away with it. I'm going to go 14 to Richards. And then I'm going to go 5 at the 5 for PJ Washington, along with another 23, get him up to 28. Then we're missing Ish Smith backup run and Bryce McGowan's. And those guys are going to split 16 minutes apiece. So boom and boom, boom and boom. And I don't have any rates to change because this has already been done. Now, that's the Charlotte side, which should look decent. The Chicago side should also look decent because Alex Caruso probable, Torrey Craig questionable, Zach LaVine out. Now, we do get DeRozan back. We are going to have to make some rate changes. But what do we end up getting here for Chicago? Before we do that, give me 1 second. I will be right back. Need a little wah-wah. Einsteinium, I think they want to, but they found no one interested. All right, so 36 minutes to DeMar. Pop those in. We get 35 minutes out of Kobe White. We get... Oh, man, this is going to be interesting. So, on the second, who the hell... Did they start Dosunmu? They must have, right? If he played that many minutes? Beat New Orleans by 6. Didn't start Dosunmu. Dosunmu just played. And played and played and played. Oh, because Caruso could only play 12.5 minutes. That makes sense. I mean, I think the goal is like playing Alex Caruso 24 minutes here. We'll get Patrick Williams in for 28. And then we'll get Vooch in for 34. That lets me get 14 to Drummond. I think I feel pretty good about going 20 to Torrey Craig. And then I've got 49 minutes left for all of those other like backup guard type dudes. Let's get Dosunmu in for 24 to start. 13 to Javon Carter. And that really is actually it. That's 9 dudes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They played this Julian Phillips character 4 minutes early. So I guess I will give him a little bit of run. We'll take Javon Carter up to 14. I'll take Dosunmu up to 25. I will give Patrick Williams that extra minute, and then I can get 9 to Julian Phillips. All right, now we got to look at rates. So let's take a peek and see what happens when DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic play, and Zach LaVine does not play. That's a decent chunk of games, I think. They've only played 6 games like that? I thought LaVine missed a bunch of time last year. Did they all miss time at the same time? Oh, he played 77 games last year. I'm just wrong. I guess I'm thinking of the year before that. All right, so we're just going to switch to Zach LaVine off then in that scenario. The current DeMar DeRozan points prop for today is set at 24.5. I got him at 25 too, so I don't have to make a change there. Vooch's points prop is 17.5. Mild juice to the over. I've got 19-1. I'm willing to keep that. Kobe White is at 18. I'm a little light, but I'm okay there. And then Patrick Williams is 12.5. I don't really think I have any changes to make there. Vooch, 4 assists is probably a little low. A little bit more ball handling with LaVine gone. Kobe White's at around 5. He can also get a little bit of a bump with no LaVine. And then DeRozan is at like 6. Now I'm guessing if I look at this one, DeRozan's assist rate is just massively higher than it normally is. DeRozan in 1,200 minutes with Zach LaVine off in a game that he and Vooch both played, assist rate jumps up pretty sizably. The rest of this should all stay the same. I'm guessing Chicago looks great. Daniel, yes, we did get that pipe fixed. It does not smell like rotten eggs and farts in my house any longer. All right, Hornets. Look, $5,700 Brandon Miller looks pretty good. Shooting guard, small forward, very flexible. $7,800 for Miles Bridges. I don't mind doing that one. It's a great spot against Chicago. This is the number 29 defense in Charlotte against the number 18 defense in Chicago. The only downside for this one is that the Bulls are second slowest in the league. But I like all of the main dudes at least a little bit. Miller, Bridges are the two priorities. And then $3,700 Nick Richards. Keep your eyes peeled, guys. If Nick Richards is the starting center for Charlotte tonight if Mark Williams ends up out, that's going to be a really nice, like even 24 minutes projects him at like 6.5x. That'll be the best point per minute guy that we've talked about. The Bulls. DeRozan is leading the charge here easily. 8K, small forward, power forward. If you're getting to anybody from the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan is clearly the first guy up. I think Patrick Williams is probably a little bit ahead of Kobe White just from a flexibility standpoint. Small forward, power forward, 5,200, whereas White is 6,900 point guard only. Vooch is fine at 8,400, but I find him, I doubt that I get to too much. All right, so we've got 4 games left. OKC 2-point favorites in Houston. Fun game. What do we need to know here for the Thunder and the Rockets? Thunder have everybody available. Rockets have everybody available except for Amin Thompson. Q-tag on Jock Landale, but that really shouldn't matter too much. I'm guessing we're not moving around OKC all that much today. I got 33 minutes for Jalen Williams. We'll make that 32. They played Bert. They might start playing Davis. Get ready. They might start playing Davis Bertans a little bit more. I don't think it's going to matter, but they changed his contract a little bit, so they don't have to worry about playing him too much. Now they can just play him if they think they should play him. Josh Giddey playing less and less minutes as of late. That's probably not good for him. Yeah, I really don't have any changes that I need to be making here for OKC, and I'm guessing I don't have any major changes for... Oh, no. Last time Houston played was no Van Vliet, so let's go ahead and fix that problem. So let's get to Houston. We're going to get 39 minutes to Fred Van Vliet. Oh, yeah. Wait, I thought Jalen Green was, like, out for a bit. Did I not see that yesterday? Maybe it was Jeff Green? I could have swore I saw that news. Chat, what Green am I thinking of? Was there a Green in the news yesterday that's going to be out for a little bit? I could have... Maybe I dreamed it. Anyway. It was Josh Green? Okay. I knew I saw something. I knew I saw Jay Green yesterday pop up that was going to be out. I definitely read it as Jalen, though. All right. Let's keep that going then. Jalen Green. We'll go 32 minutes? 33 minutes. And then we'll get Dylan Brooks in for 30. We'll get Jabari Smith in for 31. 32. And then we'll get Şengün in for 34. Now, after that, we'll get... I mean, they haven't been playing Jock Landale. They basically have gone to a 9-man rotation. Let's get Jeff Green in for 13 minutes, 12 minutes. I guess we'll go 14 and just have him as the straight backup. And then we can get Tari Eason in for 18. We can get Jayshawn Tate in for 18. And then we can get Aaron Holiday in for 18. And then we just hide 4 minutes on Jock Landale. Perfect. Perfect. I do need to quickly look at these rates just to double check. So let's grab Houston. Şengün usage rate 27, fine. Brooks 19, fine. Fred VanVleet 18. We'll see. Jabari Smith 19. Close enough. Jalen Green 27.5. All right. Points props for Houston, because I have a feeling I'm off a little bit here. We have Şengün at 21.5 to the over. Great. Jalen Green. Now I'm doing it. Jalen Green, 20.5. Little high. We'll be fine. VanVleet, 16.5. Good. Jabari Smith, 13.5. Good enough. Dylan Brooks, 10.5 to the over. I got 13. That's nuts. That's just going to have to be right. So that will be Houston, which means we're done another game. Thunder. Happy to pay up to Shea at 10-7. I prefer Embiid of all the pay-up options so far. Look, $5,900 Josh Giddey, even in 26 minutes, needs a bit of a conversation, but you're probably only getting like 5% of them on an 11-gamer. Chet, Jalen Williams, they're both okay. There are no priorities here for OKC. Reminder, Houston, 28th in pace. It's not the best matchup for the Thunder. The Thunder are really good, man. For Houston, $8,900 Şengün probably passes me getting to Embiid. I think I prefer Şengün to Embiid. It's just a giant savings. And we still have to get to Jokic and Luka. I don't mind VanVleet at 8,200. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks, all fine. But Şengün stands out. All right, Jazz. Yuck. 9-point dogs in Dallas. No Jordan Clarkson, no Lauri Markkanen, no Kelly Olynyk. All right. Well, this should be a journey. All three of those guys did miss on the second, so that really is a incredibly helpful situation. They also won that game by 5. So they started... Oh my God, is that a bad team? Holy shit. Keontae George, Fontecchio, Agbaji, John Collins, and Omer Yurtseven with Kessler, Hendricks, THT, Sexton, Luka Samanic. All right. That's a 5-man rotation for you. Let's start with Keontae George, who's been playing about 30 minutes a night. That'll work for me. At the 2, we're going to be getting, I guess, Agbaji for... He didn't close. They put Sexton in for the overtime. So Agbaji played 26 minutes. That is perfect. Because he can close. Well, he closed like regulation. So 26 looks good. Fontecchio played 35. Did play the OT. So basically played 30. They closed the second quarter with Sexton. So 30 feels about right for Fontecchio. John Collins just gets his 32, pretty standard issue. Or I guess 31. 31. And then we get Yurtsevin and Kessler again. Kessler played 25. Didn't play in the overtime. Yurtsevin played 27, played all of the overtime. So I don't know, like 23 to Yurtsevin, 24 to Walker Kessler, something like that. Oh my God, this team is just ass to talk about. Taylor Hendricks, I'll give 16 minutes. I guess we get like 18 to 20 out of THT. Luka Samanic played 10. Who am I missing? Oh, Colin Sexton. So Sexton played 25-ish minutes or 25 and a half minutes if you don't include OT. I'll go to 25. And then we are going to hide. Is Chris Dunn out? He must be out, right? The only way that makes sense. So Chris Dunn is available. Did he just not play? Was Chris Dunn available for that game? 12-23 Jazz box score. Kepanekla, I don't know what you're talking about there. John Collins played 35 minutes in all of overtime. So Yurtsevin has no. I think you're trying to say Walker Kessler and not Collins, because John Collins has nothing to do with Omer Yurtsevin in this scenario. Okay, so he was just properly out. So he's going to play then. Right? Or I guess no. I guess he's not. Have any of these been DNP CDs? Let me check out. I have a file of this stuff. 12-2 Utah DNPs. Let's just get Utah selected. Give me 1 second, guys. Chris Dunn got a DNP on the 27th. And then he'd been out ever since. Yeah, I'm going to just assume he's not playing. He could play. I don't get the sense it's going to matter. But he could play. You're all good. You're all good. I'm going to assume he's not playing for right now, but he could. I don't really see the spot where those minutes would come from, though. I don't think it's going to matter. Facing Dallas is probably not Utah's spot. Now, for Dallas, Hardaway questionable, Kyrie questionable, Grant Williams questionable, Josh Green out, Maxey out. Cool. This should be fun. All right, let's get Luka goes straight in for his 36. Kyrie goes in for his 35. And then I'm guessing we're getting Derek Jones Jr. for a decent chunk of time. Probably 30 for Derek Jones Jr. I guess we have to assume Grant Williams is playing like 29 minutes or something. And then we get Lively 26, 27, I guess. Rashawn Holmes, no, yes, no, no. They went Omax Prosper last time. The rest of this team is kind of bleak. Now, we have to project Tim Hardaway in. So Hardaway will immediately just get like a 28-minute chunk. The rest of this is where it gets a little dicey. Seems like Exum will be available and playing, 16 minutes. Seems like Jaden Hardy's probably going to get like 16 minutes, although he doesn't have to. Who the hell is the backup center? Who did they run at center? I guess it's Prosper, I guess? As like a makeshift center? Or Grant Williams, I guess, depending on who you want to call it here. Rashawn Holmes played. Okay, so Lively played 39 minutes. I'm trying to hunt something down that doesn't exist. So then we definitely think it's going to be Rashawn Holmes for standard backup run. That's wild, dude. They played Lively. So they played Holmes for one rotation and Powell for one rotation. They just played Derek Lively the whole game. The whole game. That's nuts. So I've just going to split 25 minutes to Seth Curry, and I'll give it to Omax Prosper. No, I'll give it to Jaden Hardy. That should be fine. Now, we know that we need to grab all of the proper rates for Luka and Kyrie. A very different team when these guys are in. Luka points prop is 32.5. Just out of curiosity. What do we got on the season? Luka usage rate on the year, 34.5. Perfect. Kyrie on the season is at 28. I'm going to lock that in. I'm guessing the rest of these guys just fall into place. Tim Hardaway would be the only other guy that I probably want to lock into his own number. He's also questionable. Assist rate matters, I guess. Luka, 11 and change. Kyrie, 8 and change. It's actually not that bad. 8.5 to the over for Luka. I got 7.5, so we will bump that up. I think we just leave this as it is. Nobody else gets usage for this team. It's basically impossible. So that's Utah-Dallas. For Utah, we're not playing anybody from the Jazz. This is just ugly. Very ugly. Yurtseven is close. Otherwise, I don't think you play a soul from the Jazz. Then we go to Dallas. Wow, it's 7:56. We're already up to that hour and a half. 2 games to go. Love Luka at 11-7. Probably going to like him more than Embiid just because of the position. $5,500 Derek Lively. If he's going to play that many minutes, he's going to get him against Omer Yurtseven, so that's fine. Don't mind Lively. Kyrie at 9,400 is fine. But play Luka. Portland Trailblazers are 12.5-point dogs in Golden State, 225 total. No part of this one, I'm guessing, is going to be fun. For Portland, DeAndre Ayton. Oh, God, here we go. DeAndre Ayton, doubtful. Jeremy Grant, out. Simons, questionable? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing here? Ayton out. Ayton essentially out. He is doubtful. Grant already out. No Robert Williams. And then Simons questionable. He didn't come back yet, did he? No. Is he going to play today? Oh, my God. Oh, don't play today. Just make it easy. Just make it easy. Close to returning. Conditioning looks pretty good. Alrighty then. Who the hell is starting? Okay, so we haven't seen a game with Jeremy Grant out just yet. They played, I'm guessing, on Saturday. It was against Utah. I already had this open. So I'm guessing Grant got hurt in the fourth quarter, and at that point they They played the OT with Matisse Thybulle. All right. If Simons is back, I'm actually going to give him 30 minutes. Oh, God. He's 5K? Yeah. I'll give him 28 minutes for right now just to check. I guess. Oh, God. Are we going to. Who the hell is going to start for this stupid team? I hate this so much. All right. Brogdon. 32 minutes for Brogdon, right? Let's just start getting in some of these guys that we know are going to be playing a decent chunk of time. Shaedon Sharpe plays 35 minutes a night. That's not going to change. Let's get that in. Toumani Camara, by all accounts, seems like he's going to have to play a shit ton, right? 28 minutes. Matisse Thybulle has been playing a bit more as of late. I think 26 feels about right. All right, Jabari Walker. Played off the bench like normal. Didn't play OT, played 24 minutes. At the minimum, he's playing 24 minutes. And then we clearly have to we got to doo-wop that thing. We had Ayton out on the 22nd. Reith played 20 minutes. And they didn't go to another center. Like, they went to Ryan Rupert, I guess, for 5 minutes. I think 24 is the best we can do on Reith. But that also feels incorrect. They don't ever play Moses Brown. But it feels like they have to play Moses Brown. Just out of curiosity, predestination, why 32 minutes to Thybulle? I feel like Anthony Simons is going to start. Like, it was a thumb injury, not a lower body injury. So I'm going to defer. I'm going to assume that they go to Simons. And it's like Simons, Brogdon, Sharpe, Camara, Reith, maybe. I don't know. They got a lot of different directions they can go here. Oh God, it's just brutal. They don't have enough bodies for it to really matter. But I still have 43 minutes to allocate to these idiots. I didn't even give Scoot minutes yet. It's like I forgot that he is a thing. 21 minutes to Scoot seems fine. That still leaves me 22. Seems like Chris Murray will probably get like 16. And then I hide like 6 more on Moses Brown. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Moses Brown has to play. One of Moses Brown or Ryan Rupert have to play a little bit more. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Oh, God. I mean, like, you can't even project rates. You just kind of have to hope. Does Portland even have props out? They don't. No player props on FanDuel for Portland right now. So I'm just going to step away from it and see where we stand and have a bigger conversation with Adam later. For Golden State, Chris Paul back, which I didn't expect. Wiggins probable, Gary Payton out. This should actually be pretty easy to project. Let's get Moody out of there. Let's get Pajemski out of there. Let's get Corey Joseph out of there. We can get Trace Jackson Davis out of there as well. We'll go ahead and get these minutes updated. Chris Paul can go ahead and pop in for 26. And Andrew Wiggins can go ahead and pop in for 20. 29. And then that leaves me 15 for Pajemski. Nope, that's not going to work. Because now I don't have any minutes going to Moses Moody. Who am I giving minutes to that doesn't deserve minutes? Kuminga deserves a lot less. Let's get him down to 18. 32 to Clay, 26 to Paul. It's got to be Moody before Pajemski, right? Now, where are those minutes coming from? I guess I got to knock Looney back down, too. We bring Looney down to 22. That gets me to 8. That's not enough. But I guess if they're at, like, semi-full strength. With 13 and 13. Not that it matters. It's not like we're playing these dudes. Other than rate, I think this can basically stay to the same. Oh, no, there was no Wiggins. I got to look at the props quickly just as an eye check. Points prop for Steph is 27.5. Let's go ahead and kill every bit of this usage. I can handle that breakdown right there. Does Chris Paul have an assist prop? Doesn't matter. Steph's at 5 assists. I'm just going to leave my rates as my rates. So I got Steph at 27. I got 29, but the props 27.5. Clay at 17.5. Little high there. 14 to Wiggins looks fine. Draymond to 9. Yeah, that all looks fine. Matthew, no, absolutely not. The Warriors should have no interest whatsoever in Nikola Vucevic. If they could have him for free, maybe, but like Nikola Vucevic has no value in the league. Zero, none, nada. Shouldn't play. Honestly, let's change this. Unequivocally, no. Nikola Vucevic has never proven that he can play in the playoffs in any sort of form, and now he stinks instead of being a good offensive player. No, 100% no. He's unplayable in the playoffs. That's an easier way to do it. Fully unplayable. What interest would the Warriors have in like the 26th best center in basketball? At best, I might add. At best. I don't think he would play for them. How's that? That's even crazier. I don't think he would see the floor in a real playoff series. At least he shouldn't. He shouldn't play a single minute for them if he were ever on that team in a playoff series. We are going to doo-wop tonight. Doo-wop. How do you say it properly? Am I saying that right? Is it on Basketball Reference? Dwop. 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 We're going to dwop today. He's insane. Look, 3,200 at 24 minutes. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. Even if you project him for 20 minutes, he's still 5.5x. He's the best point per dollar play on the slate right now. $5,500 Anthony Simons is like a legitimate issue if he can play today. We got to remember, it's a thumb injury. This dude could have been, he should be in relatively close to game shape. And he's going to be like 8K in a week or two. Other than that, try to avoid Portland. For Golden State, nobody stands out. It's Steph at 9,900, which is fine. Clay is fine. Looney's fine-ish. Wiggins is fine. You're really not going to much of Golden State, though. And finally, final game, Denver Nuggets, 1-point dogs in LA, 225 total, which leads me to believe that somebody's out. Murray questionable, Gordon probable. Standard issue stuff for the Clips. So for Denver, Jamal Murray came back, played 22 minutes, then didn't play again. I got him in for 26, and that feels good. I actually don't think I'm changing this rotation. I don't have much else that I want to change here. They played 10 dudes. Zeke Naji is out of the rotation for DeAndre Jordan. So let's get DeAndre Jordan those 13 minutes. I'm going to assume that they played the full freight. Yep, all 48. Justin Holiday, Peyton Watson, Julian Strother, Christian Brown. All of these guys just play a little bit. So let's look at the Clippers side, because I really don't see what I would change there for Denver. Oh, okay. So Kobe Brown is now playing a little bit of backup center. They're not playing PJ Tucker. They are running a 9-man rotation. Tyson for 17. George in for 36. I got to make that 37. I got Kawhi for 35. I've got Harden for 34. I've got Mann for 28. Zubats for 27. Feels aggressive. Russ for 25. I think we're okay here. Denver. Look, 12-5 Jokic, if you could find the salary, by all means, roster Nikola Jokic. I think it's a bit of a tough sell. It's a good Clippers defense. Now, obviously, Nikola Jokic has made the Clippers, he's their daddy for sure. But we still need the status of Murray. That will matter. Maybe I'm a little light here on Jokic. I think the assumption is probably that Murray isn't playing today, because the prop market looks a little bit heavier on Jokic. So I am going to bump him up just a hair. Otherwise, I don't think we're really looking at these dudes. Yeah, I got to bump up Jokic's assist rate. I think the prevailing wisdom in the betting market is that we're not going to get Jamal Murray today. But we'll see. Rebounds for Jokic, I got 11-8. He's at 12-5. That'll work. Look, if you can get there, get there. But Embiid looks better. I wouldn't go to a single other thing from Denver. $8,600 Paul George is definitely probably my preferred. Yeah, no, definitely my preferred play from the Clippers. Kawhi would be second. James Harden would be third. I probably wouldn't play anybody else. 11 games up, 11 games down. It is time to run some crunches. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so. Also, sign up for things at Stochastic. Whether that's going to be a Sims package or a lineup generator package. If you want to go to the Odd Shopper side and sign up for Odd Shopper, take a market-based approach to beating the books. All of those links can be found in the description of this video. Let us figure out what we like. DraftKings Optimal, going to be the first one up here. I do not have a good feel for this. We know some of the guys that are going to show up. Like, we know what those guys are going to look like. But it's what's going to get filled around them and who ends up being the pay-up options that I don't know how those pieces are going to fit. So here we go. First one up, DraftKings Optimals. 265.4. That is the optimal by one full fantasy point. Luka Doncic, Bojan Bogdanovic, Brandon Miller, Sadiq Bey, Onyeka Okongwu, OG Anunoby, DeMar DeRozan, and Duop Reith. Anunoby is just showing up because I have him projected better than the entire industry will. I mean, the Bojan piece looks correct. We got to see if he's starting. I know I'm a little high on Bay. That's fine. I don't mind the Okongwu one. DeMar DeRozan looks great. Brandon Miller's incredibly flexible here. That all looks good. Reith ended up in 100% of those lineups. Bojan ended up in 98%. DeMar in 92%. I think it's pretty clear they're the three best options. And then I have Saddiq Bey in at 82%. Probably a tad high, and that will come down later today. But 5,600 at 6x is 33.5 fantasy points. He's in and around that mark pretty much every night. 4 straight starts. If he gets to that 31.75 like he did in the most recent game, the real problem here is that usage is down. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm going to cut his usage for playing alongside the starters. It's 4 straight games of it. So instead of going to 17, so let me grab the rates for Saddiq Bey when he starts. What is Saddiq Bey's starting usage? I think it's going to be like 14%. So he started 7 games. And in those games, he's got a 12% usage rate. That's why I'm getting too much of him. We're going to cut that down to 14. That will immediately nerf the amount of Saddiq Bey that we got, to the point where he's probably not going to show up in anything. I am going to rerun this now to see that change. Because sometimes you just got to catch yourself and see rates that aren't real. So now, 264, the optimal by 0.3. Anthony Simons, I like this one a lot more too. Anthony Simons, Bojan, Brandon Miller, Kuzma, Okongwu, Anthony Edwards, DeMar DeRozan, and Reith. DeRozan in all 100 or in all 50 lineups. Bojan in all 50 lineups. Reith in all 50 lineups. Then it's Brandon Miller in 60%, Şengün in 50%, Simons and Anunoby in the 40s. 34% Batum is kind of gross. We turn on the old randomness. And we get Reith in 80-ish%. Then it drops down to Bojan at 30. DeMar at 21. Nick Batum at 21, which I'm going to have to deal with at some point in time. Although, if he starts and plays the real minutes, he has scored 30 fantasy points. Not too much. It flattens out after that. All we're learning now is that Dwap Reith is basically in everything that you do. Now on the FanDuel end, let's see what we get on FanDuel. And then I got to go. Got to go and do my work. Optimal on FanDuel. 311.09. Optimal lineup by 0.27. Kyrie, Fred VanVleet, Cam Thomas, Desmond Bane, DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Miller, Toumani Camara, Pascal Siakam, and Dwap Reith, who's 4K on DraftKings, or on FanDuel, sorry. 90% of lineups for Bane, DeRozan, Cam Thomas, 80% for Kyrie and Camara, and then in the 60s for Butler and Reith. As we slap some randomness on this one, we get top play on FanDuel, looking like it's going to be some combination of Kyrie. Well, it looks like it's Kyrie Irving, who is 8,100. Great price on FanDuel. Sohan, Thomas, Butler, and Camara. Guys, Contenders videos out in a bit. Prize picks as well. Strategy show at 10 o'clock. Deeper dive tonight at 4:45. Thank you guys very much for being here. This was a long one. We went an hour 45. Tomorrow we're back to 2 games. This was The Process.